Hey guys, welcome to the video. Salt here. Today we're going to be going over the secondary weapon, the Twin Kohmak. But before we start, let's go over our commenter board. The first commenter of the last video was Henry Chavez, 4187, and the top commenter of the last video was Joey Passy, 8818. Then we have recent channel supporters of Whoopty Wham, Nice Bear, and Colonel 06. Thank you so much for your support. Unique and interesting things about the Twin Kohmak is that it has a spool up mechanic. So the fire rate is going to start initially kind of slow, and then as you shoot, it's going to get faster and faster. The other unique thing with the Twin Kohmak is that the multi-shot also increases with this spool up. So your first shot is going to have average multi-shot, and then every shot is going to increase the multi-shot by one more pellet, and that's going to cap out at 5 pellets after 5 shots in that spool up. So before we go over the build, I want to go over some stats on the Twin Kohmak that are going to guide us into how we're going to build this. The first stat I want to go over is fall off. So the Twin Kohmak is going to do less and less damage the further away enemies are. So this is going to start at 12 meters and then finally end at 24 meters away. So this is definitely more of a mid or close to mid-range weapon. The next thing I want to look at is critical chance, 11%. That's really bad. And on a lot of weapons, you really can't make use of that. However, on secondaries, we're lucky to have secondary enervate, which makes use of weapons that have bad critical chance, especially if they at least have average critical damage. And if we look at the Twin Kohmak here, it has average critical damage. That's perfect. We can still make use of critical chance as long as we're using secondary enervate. And then the other stat that's really nice for the Twin Kohmak is the status chance, 69% status chance base, which is pretty crazy because any kind of mods that increase percent status chance are going to give huge amounts of value. Now let's go over the mods. We have Galvanized Diffusion for multi-shot, Galvanized Shot for status chance and direct damage per status type affecting the target. Galvanized Shot on this weapon is additive, so it's not as powerful as it is on some weapons where it works multiplicatively on, but it's still decent on this weapon, especially since we're not going for an arcane that gives us 360 flat. We're really only going to be using Hornet Strike for 220 flat. So Galvanized Shot adds some more flat damage, and the big part about this as well is that status chance. Lethal Torrent for fire rate and multi-shot. Hornet Strike for 220 flat damage. Prime Target Cracker for 110% critical damage. Remember, we don't actually need any critical chance mods on the weapon, and that's because, again, we're going to be using secondary enervate, which is going to take care of all of our critical chance for us. So the only mods as far as crit goes that we need on the weapon is this crit damage mod. In the next 3 slots, we're going to be making some elements here. So the first 2 we're going to be making viral, so that's a 60-60 toxic and the 60-60 cold mod to make viral. And then we're going to be using the 165 primed heated charge for heat. So this will be a viral heat build. I also tested a viral electric setup. They were both really good as far as trash killing goes. They were actually both kind of equal in trash killing. It's just that the primed heated charge setup, the viral heat, was slightly better versus Thrax's, of course, with like its partial armor stripping. So that's why in the end, I ended up just going with a viral heat setup here. In the Exilus slot, there are a few things that may tempt you because, man, they really tempted me. One is this weapon has ridiculous recoil. It is jumping around all over the place, but you don't technically need to aim with it. You can pretty much just hip fire this thing. But, you know, it does kind of make you want to put Prime Steady Hands or Steady Hands on because it's just jumping around all over the place. It's just that, I'll get to it later, we can't really afford to put this on because of something. The other thing that may tempt you is you might say, well, I have a fall off range here, and if I put Lethal Momentum on, it actually kicks that fall off range out. Let me see if it'll actually let us do this here. No, it won't, because of my capacity, it won't let me. But if you put Lethal Momentum on, it'll actually kick that fall off range. I want to say it goes to like 16 meters, and I think the 24 goes to like 30. So it lets it be more of a, it's still kind of a close range weapon, but it's more effective at medium ranges if you have Lethal Momentum on, which is really nice. Lethal Momentum is actually a really good DPS increase for this weapon. But a big issue for this weapon is its ammo economy is horrible. Its magazine is 80. The ammo maximum is 240, which isn't a lot. And as you're spooling up and your multi-shot is increasing, it also increases the amount of bullets it takes like per shot from your magazine as well. So this thing flies through ammo really, really quickly. And for that reason, even though steady hands is tempting, even though lethal momentum is tempting, you really should be using an ammo mutation mod. So either pistol ammo mutation or primed pistol ammo mutation if you have it. And then finally, in the arcane slot, we're using secondary innervate, like we said before. This is on a hit, increases your critical chance by 10% and resets after 6 big critical hits. So on average, this keeps us at about yellow crits. Sometimes you'll see some white non-crits, sometimes you'll see some oranges, but most of the time we're going to be in yellows. One more thing I wanted to add was that if you're already producing external viral, maybe you're using the Subsume Nourish, maybe you have a pet that's putting viral on enemies around you. In that case, you don't need viral on the weapon itself, and instead you can put corrosive here. So it would be the 60/60 toxic mod and the 60/60 electric mod to make corrosive. And you would keep on Prime T to charge. Now, with making corrosive, you may be tempted, because secondaries have access to this big primed electric mod, you may be tempted to go with the primed electric instead of the 60/60 to make corrosive, but don't do that. And it's because you want your heat weighting to still be over your corrosive. So both 60/60s to make corrosive, and keep your Prime T to charge on here. This is how you build the secondary weapon, the Twin Kohmak. I hope you guys liked it, and if you did, consider leaving a like and subscribing for future content. So now we'll have a 5-minute gameplay portion showcasing the weapon, and when that's done, we'll come back to the Orbiter and we'll give it its final score and rank. So I'll see you guys again after the gameplay. Alrighty, we're about to start this gameplay on the Twin Kohmak here. Let's go ahead and hack the terminal and we'll get into it. So I have to admit that someone else recommended this weapon for me to use, and I don't know who the hell it was. It was someone from our Discord. They were like, the Twin Kohmak is really good, people sleep on it. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, I've never heard of any build with the Twin Kohmak, what the hell? And then I tried it out today. I was like, let me give it a chance. Let me do a video on it. I'll do a deep dive into, its stats and its little quirky things and everything. And yeah, I was actually pleasantly surprised. It's a really good weapon. I just can't remember who it was that recommended it to me, because I was going to give them a shout out in the video today, and I could not think of it. So ideally, you want to keep yourself spooled up, because you want to keep that multi-shot increase, because every time you stop shooting, you stop your spool up, and your multi-shot goes back down to average. Now, it doesn't take that long to spool up, especially since we have Lethal Torrent with more fire rate, so it's pretty quick to spool up. But, for efficiency's sake, if you have enemies in front of you, you don't really want to stop shooting to aim at the next pack. Just kind of continue firing and drag your cursor over to the next pack of enemies. Got my weapon stolen, as is tradition. Give me it here, okay. You can see even hip firing it kind of jumps around. Let's see what it looks like aiming. Oh my god, I couldn't aim with this weapon. This thing is too jumpy. So yeah, definitely hip fire this weapon. There's really nothing that is rewarding you for aiming in anyway, so just might as well hip fire it. I think you don't really have to worry too much about its jumpiness. Actually, the person talking in Alliance chat is who I thought recommended the Twin Kohmak. And I talked to him this morning. I was like, were you the one that recommended this weapon to me? And he's like, I don't think so. I thought it was Monty, but I guess it wasn't. It was someone else in the Discord. I can't remember who. because I definitely was sleeping on this weapon. Now, do I think this is like a torrid beater? Hell no, this is not a torrid beater. But it's still a really good weapon. I think it's still a weapon you should probably build out just so you have it available for weeks when you get it in like EDA, ETA, or Duviri even. Now you'll see against the Acolyte, it's actually pretty good too. It's not amazing against the Acolyte, but I would say it's well, let me actually get a good shot on him finally here. I would say it's better than average, right? Like that's better than most assault rifles for the DPS on Acolytes. And the DPS on Thraxes and Eximuses are even better because you can actually stack those statuses. Whereas Acolytes, you can't really stack statuses, right? You're just getting your big chunky damage put on Acolytes, and that's pretty much it. Right? They only stack statuses to 4. So, but even then, it's good on Acolytes. So it's even better against like Thraxes and Eximuses. Oh, something else with the unique things that I did not mention is that it has 1.5 innate punch through. Oh my goodness, why didn't I mention that? I'm probably gonna put that like in a text or something when I edit the video, like where I go over the unique and interesting things, because that is a big deal. 1.5 punch through is amazing. If it didn't have that innate 1.5 punch through, I probably would be trying to put Merciless Gunfight on. I don't know why I didn't mention that in the unique and interesting things. So I'm sorry if you were just listening to the audio, I definitely missed that. But if you were looking at the video, hopefully I remember to put like text that says 1.5 innate punch through, because that is a huge deal. Punch through is amazing. 1.5 is enough. Okay, 5 minutes. Let's deal with these 3 X's here. 1.5 is enough. Like, you don't need more. You don't need to put Merciless Gunfight for more. But if it didn't have any punch through, we'd definitely be using Merciless Gunfight. Okay, so that is 5 minutes, 373 kills. So we'll head back to the Orbiter now. Welcome back to the Orbiter, guys. So let's go over how the Twin Kohmak did in its 3 10-minute runs on Steel Path Lewis Circulus. It got 658, 682, and 646, putting it in the B tier for kill per minute potential. I was actually really surprised at this. It felt like it was killing so much more than it actually was. I don't like checking the kills. I leave it to the very end, you know, where I finish at 10 minutes and then I check the kills. And I was really expecting to see like mid 700s, maybe even like 800. I didn't think it was going to hit S tier, but I was almost confident it was going to hit A tier. But I was actually surprised. It looked like it was killing more than it was. So yeah, B tier for kill per minute potential. When it comes to single target, pretty good. I would say it's actually well above average against Acolytes, where you can't really stack statuses, you know, higher than 4. It's still really good. It still does good chonky damage against them, better than average. Against Acolytes, I would say it's A tier. Against Eximuses and Thraxes, the ones that we actually, you know, give the final rating on here, I would say it's still A tier against them, if not even better, maybe like an A plus, because those guys, they can stack statuses past 4, so you're stacking all those heat procs that you normally wouldn't do on the Acolyte there. So really good for single target on pretty much all single target types. As far as ease of use goes, it's, you know, S tier is reserved for weapons that can be played by a single-celled organism, right? That's like the Kuva Brahma, where you can just aim at the floor and nuke a room. Right, this weapon is not like that. You actually at least need to aim in the general direction of enemies. You have to have like, you know, 2 brain cells to use this weapon. So it won't get S tier, but I think it's easily A tier for ease of use. Very easy to use. You don't need to aim. There's no headshot mechanics really tied to it. Super easy to use. So that's my take on the weapon. Tell me what you guys think. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I hope you guys have an amazing day. All right, bye.